Hello and welcome to the second part in this tutorial series of the tile maps for Unity. So in the first video we looked at GitHub and SourceTree, and we set up a new Unity project with a tile map and a tile palette, so we can actually paint the tiles onto the tile map, and drew a picture of a submarine. In this tutorial, we will look at how to interact with the tile map during the actual game. So on a mouse click, we'll be able to add tiles to the screen. Before we get to that, though, we do need to sort of wrap up and save this and get it into GitHub. So let's do that now. So Control S to save. Control S. That saves everything. Then we want to go into gamedev.steps, and we've got this tile map tutorial here. If we double click on that, then we've got the actual files and our assets and our sprites and our tile palettes and everything is in there, so that's great. Let's go back to this screen, go into SourceTree, and we're going to add, and we're going to create a new repository, Tilemap tutorial. We're going to call it Tilemap tutorial. We're going to use Git. We've already got a repository, so we don't need to create one. That's on account, so that means in the cloud basically. So click create. Yes. Just asking me if it already exists, if I want to create it. There we go. Now we need a remote. We don't have any remotes. So we're going to add a remote. We need a remote name. You're going to use the default remote, which is Origin. Actually, let's be more specific, and it's actually going to be GitHub. We need a URL path. We're using this remote account. It's not going to let us continue without the URL path. So if we go into Tilemap tutorial and click on the code drop down, and there we've got the path that we need, so we can copy that, go back into SourceTree and paste that in, click OK. And now we've got a remote. So on that remote we've got GitHub. What we actually want to do now is we want to pull into local branch master. Oh, okay, I don't like that. It's not letting me see the branches now, but we've got a branch called master, and apparently it's got connotations to the slave industry, so we don't want to use master anymore. We want to use main. So that's a bit of a problem for us. Let's just pull for now, and we're going to pull from GitHub, and we're going to pull, refresh that. We're going to pull main, and we're going to pull it into local branch master, and we're going to pull. So if we just go and look at the folder again, now we've got this .git, and we've got our license file, so that's a good start. What we don't have is our git ignore, so we need to do a bit of searching again. So we're going to search for git ignore, and it's for Unity. There you go. First result at the top is the git ignore Unity git ignore. go to the raw view and copy all. Select all and copy, sorry. And then we can go into this folder and create a new text document. I'm going to delete that and we're going to call it .git ignore. It's going to put up a warning. If you change a file extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes. If you're not getting the option to change the file type, you might need to go into View and see the file name extensions. So that's a little Windows trick. If we turn it off and we turn it on again, I would have expected to see solution disappear, and hidden items, Git will go. I don't know why .sln is not disappearing, but I would have expected it to. So that's how you make sure you can view them. And in this git ignore file, at the moment it's empty, so we want to paste the text that we got from GitHub. So this git ignore file should be placed at the root of your Unity project directory. We've done that, and we can get a latest. We've got a link there, and it's got all the different things that it gets rid of. So unity.proj, anything like that is created automatically, so they're auto-generated. So all of those. There's stuff that's Visual Studio specific, auto-generated. Meta files we're not worried about. sysinfo.txt on crash reports we're not worried about. Builds we don't want. Crashlytics we don't want. Packed addressables and temporary auto-generated Android assets. So all of those things we don't want in our projects. It'd be quite interesting to look at the Visual Studio one if you're using Visual Studio for other projects that aren't for Unity. But just have a search and you can find those all on GitHub. Extremely useful. You can imagine the knowledge that would have to go into building up this list yourself and creating your own ignore file. It would be crazy. Okay. So back into SourceTree. We've got our initial commit. If we go into file status, we can see all of these unstaged files. So we want to stage all. Yep, they're all in there. And we want to do a commit. So we're going to call it Unity Project Initial Commit. I have to move myself so I can see my commit button. So let's commit. Now that's saved locally, and you can work with Git and SourceTree locally. That's fine, but the power really comes when you upload things into the cloud, and then you can share them with other people, or you can collaborate on any of your projects. So it's a really powerful tool. So we've committed. Now we're going to push, and we're pushing our local branch master to our remote branch main. Push. Okay. Main. So rename master main. Okay. Let's just push that as well. Okay, so we've got rid of master, so we've got our local main, and we've got our remote main that's on GitHub. So everything's saved, everything's online. If we go to... Ooh, something went wrong there. There you go. if we go to here again and do a refresh, so all of those files are now there available for your download, including the sprites under the assets folder. And if you just go to github.com asads1978 tilemap tutorial, you can get those. I'll put a link in the comments below. If you want a more in-depth introduction of Git, GitHub or SourceTree, let me know in the comments below, and I can do another video and take you through this in more detail. Really powerful tool. If you haven't used it, have a little play around with it and get used to it. You don't have to do these steps to get our project up and running. You can just do it locally on your own machine, or you can come to this URL and you can download the code. You can download as a zip file there, and you're done. If you are familiar with Git, then you can clone like we've just done in SourceTree. By taking this URL here, copying this URL, you can create a clone. It's worth noting that SourceTree actually has a bug. If you try to clone an empty repository, it will crash on you. So this isn't an empty repository, so you won't have that issue, but it's just one of those gotchas that's worth knowing about. Cool. So back to our project. So what we have on our sample scene, we have a main camera, we have a grid, we have a tile map, and we've drawn some tiles on there. And what we want to do is be able to interact with that. So we're going to go to our sample scene and we're going to create an empty, and we're going to call this empty game manager. And then on game manager, we're going to create a C# script. So actually add component, new script, and we're going to call that script game manager as well. We're going to open that up. Yes, I trust the authors. So game manager, it's a mono behavior. We're using collections. Collections is generic and a Unity engine. It's got a start function and an update function. We won't worry about those too much. First thing we want is let's save this. And just a little trick, it's saved. Now we go back into Unity and it's compiling our C# script. She sells seashells on the seashore. And now when we start typing, serialized field pops up magically, auto-magically. I'm going to do a tile map. Pay attention to the capitalization there. It's a small m on tile map. And if we click on this little yellow bulb, nothing's going to happen. That's great. So let's save this again. Let it compile again. It's almost like kickstarting Visual Studio Code. Okay, so using Unity engine dot tilemaps. Okay, I would have expected this bulb to do that for me. For some reason, it's not playing ball. It's the demo gods are not happy. That's what usually happens. But yeah, basically all you need to do is add Unity engine tilemaps to be able to use tilemap. So we've got ourselves tilemap. Brilliant. Let's get rid of start for now. We can always add it back in again later. And in our update, what we want to do is if input dot mouse get mouse button. Let's get just get mouse button, and we're gonna get 0. So that's a left click. If left click, we're going to debug dot log left click. Put a semicolon at the end of that. Make sure we save it. Go back into Unity. This is nice and simple. Press play. Okay. So now we want to click on the tile map. And down here it will say left click. Brilliant. Every time I click, it's going to say left click down here. A bit of a hello world. So we've got our input working. If input dot get mouse button down 1. Ooh, that was funky. 1. Debug.log left click, debug.log right click, and Mr. Bracket off there. Let's save that up. So now we can do a left click and a right click, so that's pretty funky. But what we want to do is interact with our tile map. So what we actually want to do is when we do a left click, we actually want to go to the camera main dot screen to world point, input dot what happened there? Input dot mouse position. Mouse position, we can see it's a vector 3, so we want to save that vector 3. Let's call it mouse world position. We could debug that now. If you want to, you can debug that and see what it gives you. But what we actually want to get is the tile map. So we want to get tilemap dot world to cell. Get the mouse world position. And let's have a look what that's giving us. It's also giving us, it's giving us, it's taking in a vector 3, it's giving us a vector 3 int. So what we want to do here is go vector 3 int, and this is cell position. So when we click, we're using the camera to get the mouse position in the world, and then we're using the world point to get the cell position, and we're saving that into cell position. Then on our left click, instead of saying left click, we are going to do cell position dot x plus comma plus cell position dot y. Let's get some spacing in there, sorry. So now when we do our left click, we should be getting the cell position x and the cell position y. So we saved that, and then we go back into the editor, back into Unity, reload the scripts. Now when we click unassigned reference exception, the variable tilemap of game manager has not been assigned. I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure out what that means. If you've not guessed it yet, just go into your game manager and it's tilemap none here. So what we need to do is we need to grab our tilemap and drag it across over into the tilemap. So just to show you what that's all about, we have this serialized field tilemap here, and then we use the tilemap in our little bit of code. So that's what we needed for that code to work, was to get the tilemap dragged in. Let's save while we're here and let's run it again. Hopefully there'll be no errors this time. And we click and we got -4,3. So let's see where the middle of the screen is. I think that's the middle. -1, so okay, that's the middle. I don't know if you can see it, but I think I can see a gap between these tiles, or maybe it's just the way the tiles are designed. So we might have to look into that later and sort of fix that bug, but I can see lines in between the tiles there. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, we've got we're getting the tile position, so we know which tile we're working on now. So what we want to do is in here we want to get the tile map and we want to set tile in the cell position to tile. We're going to set it to something called path tile. And here we're going to have another serialized field, so we can drag some more objects in. And it's going to be a type tile. We've already got tilemaps using at the top, using that namespace. So we can go ahead and call this path tile and save it. It's just reloading again. Okay. The interesting thing is, it's just we've created a delete function, because what did we forget again? We forgot here we're setting it none. We need something from our tile palette. So those are in the wrong folder. So let's cut those. That's tile palettes. Let's create a new folder called tiles. Paste into there. There we go. It's a good start. Go back to our game manager and our paths. Our paths are going to be green. Should probably use the slabs, but we're going to use the green grass. We'll play again. And now we can actually draw in-game onto the tile map like this. There we go. Fill in the whole screen if you want. But there we have a tile map, and we're interacting with the mouse, and we're changing the tiles. So that's going to set a base for where we want to go. The next thing we want to be looking at is actually creating a tile map and doing that automatically rather than editing it. And then we need to get our character in and get him moving around. So it's going to be some exciting stuff in the next videos. I have a challenge for you. So on input get mouse button 0, we're getting the mouse wheel position, the cell position, then we're setting the tile to the path tile. I want you to add another tile here as a serialized field. On get mouse button 1, the right click, then I want you to add another cell, a different cell, onto the tile map on a right click. Now you could just copy and paste this code into here, and that would be one way to do it, but you might want to look at some refactoring and maybe getting these into their own method to return the cell position, so you can reuse that piece of code. So a bit of a challenge for you there to implement the right click. I'll be back in a moment just to show you how to do that. I'm going to pause. Okay, I hope you've had a go at that to get the right button working. So this is how I would do it. So we got our serialized field, and we're going to put a tile, and it's going to be called blocker tile. So when we do have our character won't be able to walk on the blocker tile, so only be able to walk on the path tiles. That's the idea here. So what we want to do here, rather than debug, let's delete that for now. In fact, let's delete it from there as well. We'll copy that bit of code because we know that's different. Blocker tile. And it's complaining about not having the cell position. So underneath this update, we're going to have a private vector3 int called get cell position from mouse. It's a bit of an interesting one because we're getting this from the mouse, but we might in the future actually just want to get it from a world position rather than the mouse. So we might have another vector3, another vector3 int passing in the world mouse position. Let's grab those and copy them and paste them into here. So where we're doing that, we just want to return, don't we? So we get the mouse position, and we're getting the camera, and we're returning the cell position. Excellent. I think we can just go ahead and swap these straight out. Why not? It's nice tidy code. So we're getting the mouse position there. We could have left. We could leave blocker tile as null or no tile. Then we can actually like delete with the right mouse click. But the idea here is to place a blocker. So let's save that. Head back over into Unity. Now blocker tile, we're going to put some rocks in there, and we can hit play. So now, on a left click, we can put down grass. On a right click, we can put down the rocks. Then we can build a maze. So the way this game is going to work is you're going to start at the bottom, and then you're going to have to navigate your way through a maze to get to the top. There you go, there's my maze. My amazing maze. You can have a little bit of fun and draw what you like. In-game, doing a map, I think that's pretty funky. On the left click and the right click. In the next video we'll look at actually doing this automatically rather than with the mouse click. So we will reuse some of the code that we've just done, but mostly this will be a new way of doing things. I just wanted to do the mouse clicks just to introduce you to the set tile function. Okay, thank you very much guys. See you in the next video.